Welcome to MetaBookNook, Deep Dives for Curious Minds. Today, we're actually journeying thousands of years into the past,
Uh-huh.
not just for, a standard history lesson, but to uncover some really surprisingly timeless secrets about ancient prosperity.
Right.
And we're doing this through the lens of George S. Clason's classic book, The Richest Man in Babylon, which first came out way back in 1926.
And this deep dive, it isn't really about deciphering dusty old records or anything like that. It's more an exploration of these universal financial parables
Parables, yeah.
set against this incredible backdrop, the most opulent city of the ancient world, Babylon. And our mission really is to pull out those unchanging financial principles.
The ones that work then.
Exactly. The ones that guided Babylonians to, well, unprecedented wealth.
Hmm.
And maybe more importantly, see how they can guide you today just as reliably.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Imagine just for a second, you're living in Babylon. We're talking about a city that was just synonymous with unimaginable wealth. Its famed hanging gardens, these towering temples, legendary treasures.
The stuff of myths almost.
Totally. Yet even in this, economic marvel, so many of its citizens, people like Bansir the chariot builder and Kobe the musician, they found their own purses were just perpetually lean.
Yeah.
What was their struggle exactly? And maybe more importantly, why does it feel so relatable to us now, thousands of years on?
Well, what's truly fascinating, I think, is just how universal that frustration feels.
Right.
Mansur and Kobe, they're skilled guys. They work diligently. They're part of society.
Yeah.
Yet they're lamenting. They say they've earned much coin in the years that have passed. Yet to know the joys that come from wealth, we must dream about them.
Oof. Yeah.
They're trapped, aren't they, in this seemingly endless cycle of earning, then spending, earning, spending, and leaving, as the book says, not to show for a lifetime of labor.
Nothing left over.
Nothing. They feel like they're living slavish lives, just working, 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 getting nowhere. And that raises this critical question that just echoes through time, doesn't it?
It really does.
Why do some people prosper while others struggle, even when they seem to have the same opportunities, especially in a city just overflowing with wealth?
Yeah.
It speaks to something really fundamental.
And that feeling, that stuck feeling, working so hard but having nothing tangible, that's what pushes them, right? It
Yep.
drives them to seek out Arcad.
The richest man in Babylon.
Exactly. And they find out pretty quickly that Arcad's wisdom, his wealth, it wasn't down to fickle fate or some random luck.
Yeah.
It was rooted in these fundamental laws of wealth, laws that, well, anyone really, regardless of where they started, could actually follow. So what was that very first one, the foundational principle he taught them?
Okay, so Arcad's core teaching, the absolute first cure for a lean purse, it sounds almost deceptively simple. It's
Uh-huh.
just a part of all I earn is mine to keep. He advises saving not less than 1/10 of every single coin you earn,
Pay yourself first.
making it absolutely clear. Pay yourself first before anything else. And he uses this really vivid, almost childlike analogy of an egg merchant.
Oh, yeah, the eggs.
Yeah, if you put 10 eggs in your basket each morning, but you only take out 9 to sell or use,
Mm.
eventually that basket has to overflow. It's simple math.
It sounds so straightforward, like, okay, common sense. But if it's really that simple, why do so many people struggle with it? Then and now, what's the sort of hidden psychological hurdle here?
Well, that's where the real deep dive starts, isn't it? It means making this saving habit non-negotiable, almost sacred.
Right.
Arcad notes, and this is key, that when he started only taking out 9/10 of his earnings to live on, he found he managed to get along just as well as before.
Huh. Interesting.
Even better, actually. He says he found that coins come to be more easily than before. Now, that's not magic.
No.
It's a really profound psychological and practical shift. It reframes earning. It's not just for buying stuff right now. It's a deliberate act of investing in yourself.
Shifting from consumer to owner.
Precisely. It's choosing, as he says, substantial belongings. Gold, lands, income-producing investments over those fleeting daily desires. And this consistent act, paying yourself first, even if it's a small amount, it's more than a financial rule. It's a foundational mindset shift.
Like building momentum.
Exactly. As Arcad puts it, no man may climb who cannot plant his feet firmly upon the first step. You have to start.
Okay, saving a tenth sounds manageable, in theory anyway. But what about, all those endless desires we have, the bills, the wanting new things, the unexpected stuff that always seems to pop up?
Mm.
How do we manage the other nine tenths? How do you do that without constantly feeling like you're missing out, or worse, actually falling behind on necessities?
Okay, this leads us straight into the second cure. Control thy expenditures.
Control spending. Got it.
And Arcot explains what he calls an unusual truth, and wow, does this resonate today? He says what each of us calls our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes unless we protest to the contrary.
Lifestyle creep.
Exactly. It's timeless. So he advises us to really study our habits, our custom ways of living, to consciously demand, as he puts it, 100% of appreciated value demanded for each coin spent.
Get value for your money.
Basically, yeah. He suggests literally engrave upon the clay each thing for which thou desireth to spend. Make a list.
Write it down.
Then, from that list, you budget. You select only the truly necessary items or things that are possible within that 9/10 budget. And the rest, you firmly cross them out. You accept their desires that, for now, have to wait.
Okay.
That saved tenth, that should become your great desire being fulfilled. That's the priority that shapes all your other spending choices.
So it's less about deprivation, more about being really intentional with spending, protecting that savings goal from, well, everything else pulling at it.
Exactly. It's like a financial law of physics almost, isn't it?
It really is. So how does he then suggest we make that saved portion, that tenth, really work for us? Beyond just, sitting there in a pouch or a bank account.
Right. It's about being deliberate,
Yeah.
choosing your financial path. And once you have secured that saved portion, well, then it's time for cure number 3. Make thy gold multiply.
Put it to work.
Put it to work. Gold just sitting idle in a purse, he says, earns nothing. It has to labor for you. It needs to reproduce, even as the flocks of the field.
Okay.
And he shares this incredibly powerful example of a farmer. This farmer invested just 10 pieces of silver for his newborn son.
Mm-hmm.
By the time the son was 20, that 10 had grown to 30 and a half pieces. Not bad. But then, by age 50, it had grown to 167 pieces.
Wow, just from the initial 10.
All thanks to the the mathematics of compound interest over time. This golden stream of continuous income generated by your working gold, that's what truly builds lasting wealth and ultimately financial independence.
Yeah.
It teaches us patience and the huge benefit of starting early, even small.
That's a powerful illustration. But let's be honest, many people today might feel like investing just 10 pieces of silver or a small amount won't really move the needle in today's economy.
Sure.
Or maybe more critically, that making your gold multiply, investing, well, it sounds like it could go very wrong. We all know stories, right? People losing everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Did Arcad himself ever mess up?
Yeah.
Did he make investment mistakes he warns us about?
Oh, he certainly did. And he's actually remarkably open about his failures, which I think is part of the book's enduring appeal. It makes him relatable.
Yeah, makes it real.
And this brings us directly to the 4th cure. Guard thy treasures from loss. Arcad himself tells this painful story of losing his entire first year's savings.
The whole lot.
The whole lot. He entrusted them to Asmur, a brickmaker, who promised to go to Tyre and buy rare jewels. Instead, Asmur got duped and came back with worthless bits of glass.
Ouch.
Big ouch. And this highlights a crucial hard-won principle. Be not misled by thine own romantic desires to make wealth rapidly. Don't chase quick riches.
Get rich quick schemes.
Exactly. Instead, Arcad advises, seek advice from men whose daily work is handling money. And crucially, invest only where thy principal is safe, where it may be reclaimed if desirable, and where thou will not fail to collect a fair rental. It's a timeless warning.
Okay, that raises a really vital question for us today, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know who to trust with your money? I mean, the financial world can be incredibly complex,
Oh, yeah.
full of jargon, competing interests. Finding genuinely wise, unbiased counsel feels absolutely essential, but also really difficult.
It does. And the book offers some guidance here through the character of Mathon, the gold lender. He shares wisdom illustrated by stories from his token chest records of past loans.
Right.
And he emphasizes that the safest loans, the best investments really, are based on tangible things, property of greater value or an assured capacity to earn not just good intentions or, as he puts it, great emotions.
Emotions don't pay the bills.
Exactly. He tells stories of people losing gold because they borrowed for indiscretions or acted with immature knowledge, like a young man betting borrowed money on a horse race. Disaster.
Predictable.
Mathon's advice to Rodin, the spearmaker who's considering a risky venture, is just so poignant. Better a little caution than a great regret.
Good line.
It is. He strongly advises against these fantastic plans of impractical men who promise impossible earnings. Instead, associate with men and enterprises whose success is established, people whose wisdom and experience can actually help safeguard your treasure.
It sounds like ancient advice aligning perfectly with modern ideas like fiduciary duty and doing your due diligence.
Absolutely. Choose advisors who genuinely put your interests first and have a proven track record.
So, beyond saving that tenth and investing it wisely with caution, what other foundational steps did Arcad suggest for building not just wealth, but lasting security for yourself, for your family?
Yeah, it's about more than just accumulation. The fifth cure emphasizes making your home, your dwelling, a profitable investment.
Own thy own home.
Own thy own home. Arcad notes that owning your home putteth confidence in his heart. It's psychological. And practically, it will greatly reduce his cost of living, making available more of his earnings for pleasures and the gratification of his desires.
Reduces expenses, builds equity potentially.
Right. Stability, security. And this connects nicely to the sixth cure. Ensure a future income.
Planning ahead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like Babylon's legendary walls, supposedly massive, 160 feet high, miles long, protected its citizens from invaders.
Wow.
Modern, impregnable walls of insurance, savings accounts, and dependable investments protect us against, well, the unexpected tragedies that may enter any door.
Life happens.
Life happens. So we're encouraged to provide in advance for the needs of thy growing age and the protection of thy family. It's about building a financial fortress brick by brick.
Okay, makes sense. And finally, what about personal growth and this idea of luck? Does that play a role in Arcad's grand scheme, or is it really just about the numbers and discipline? Because lots of people chalk success or failure up to random chance.
It plays a huge role, often underestimated, I think. The seventh and final cure is to increase thy ability to earn.
Get better at what you do.
Get better. Arcad stresses that preceding accomplishment must be desire. Not just vague wishing, but strong, definite desires, goals. He encourages continuous self-improvement, perfecting your craft, constantly seeking knowledge. He states simply, the more wisdom we know, the more we may earn.
Invest in yourself.
Absolutely. He uses himself as an example, describing his commitment as a young scribe to be exceeded by none. That dedication led directly to increased skill, recognition, and ultimately more earning potential. It's about building your human capital.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. This links directly to that idea of good luck. So many people think it's just random, something that happens to you.
Right.
But the book seems to offer a really powerful counter-argument. What exactly does The Richest Man in Babylon say about attracting good luck? Is it something you can influence?
Arcad argues quite strongly, actually, that good luck can be enticed by accepting opportunity.
Enticed. Okay.
Yeah. It's not found by chance, not at the gaming tables where, let's face it, the odds are always stacked against the player to ensure the house profits.
The house always wins.
Always. He tells these cautionary tales. There's the merchant who missed out on a hugely profitable irrigation project simply because of procrastination. He just didn't act.
Hesitation.
And then there's the buyer who lost a lucrative deal, buying sheep because he was too stubborn, unwilling to act swiftly when the opportunity was right there.
Missed chances.
Exactly. The book states it plainly. The spirit of procrastination is within all men. In listening to it, we do become our own worst enemies. So Arcad suggests good luck doesn't just fall in your lap.
No.
No. It favors those who are prepared, who are decisive, and who are willing to actually take action when a genuine opportunity presents itself. You make your own luck to some extent.
So overcoming that inertia, that procrastination is key. But what about hard work itself? There are characters in the book, like Hadon Gula initially, who sort of suggest work is made for slaves.
Right. That comes up.
That sounds almost counterintuitive to building wealth, doesn't it? Is there a deeper truth about labor, about work, and its role in prosperity that the book reveals later on?
Yes. And it's a really profound transformation within the narrative, a critical insight. Look at Dabasir, the camel trader.
Okay.
He learns this truth the hardest way possible by actually being sold into slavery. Not as a metaphor, but literally because of his debts.
Wow.
And being enslaved forces him to confront his debt enemies, as he calls them, and realize that fundamental truth. Where the determination is, the way can be found.
Determination.
His journey back to self-respect, back to freedom, it was forged through relentless, consistent work and the systematic repayment of every single debt. It was work that saved him.
Right.
And similarly, you have Shahrunada telling the story of Arad Gula, who becomes known as the luckiest man in Babylon, but who also started as a slave. Sharu reveals that Arad Gula's real secret wasn't luck at all. It was his genuine enjoyment of work, his determination to excel at whatever task was put before him.
Finding purpose in it.
Exactly. Work didn't just bring him income, it brought him friends, respect, honors, and eventually great wealth and his freedom.
Mhm.
It's about understanding that purposeful effort, finding satisfaction in your labor, is actually a path to dignity and independence, not just drudgery.
That's a powerful shift in perspective. So, after digging into all this ancient wisdom, the obvious question is, are these just, quaint historical stories?
Hmm.
Or do they hold real concrete relevance for us today, millennia later? I mean, how well do these ancient principles actually hold up against the test of time and modern complexities?
They hold up incredibly well, and their profound relevance is highlighted quite dramatically, actually, by Professor Alfred Shrewsbury's discovery of Debussier's actual clay tablets in the
He
1930s.
found them. Really?
He found them. And Debussier's detailed plan, save 1/10, live on 7/10, use 2/10 to pay off debt, wasn't just some historical artifact for Shrewsbury.
No.
He and his wife were in financial distress during the Great Depression. They actually adopted Debussier's ancient plan.
Wow.
And it worked. It transformed their own financial situation, leading them to security and prosperity right in the middle of that incredibly difficult economic time.
That's amazing.
Shrewsbury writes that Debussier's message, carved into clay all those centuries ago, is as true and just as vital as the day it was buried. It really demonstrates that these principles aren't just historical curiosities.
They're fundamental laws.
They really seem to be enduring fundamental laws about making deliberate financial choices and then sticking to them consistently. They transcend time, culture, even specific economic conditions. You can adapt them to any income in any era.
So maybe the true treasures of Babylon weren't just the glittering golden jewels.
Perhaps not. Perhaps the real treasure was the wisdom its citizens developed and shared. This understanding that true prosperity isn't really a matter of luck or inheritance.
But something you build.
Exactly. It's a meticulously built edifice, constructed one consistent action, one wise decision at a time. Which leads to the final thought for you, listening. What part of your own earnings stream are you going to claim as yours to keep starting today?
A powerful question to ponder. And that brings us to the end of another deep dive here on MetaBookNook. We really hope you found these ancient insights into wealth and prosperity as illuminating and hopefully as actionable as we have.
Yeah, the wisdom of Babylon really does endure, doesn't it? It offers such a clear, practical path to financial understanding and hopefully lasting security, no matter where you are on your own journey.
Absolutely. If you're inspired maybe to delve deeper into these stories and principles yourself, you can find The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason pretty easily. We'll make sure to put links and more information about the book in the description of this deep dive.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this insightful exploration today. And we certainly invite you to tune in next time for another deep dive for curious minds.